Hello Snappers, Toby here. Today I'll be reviewing all the revealed cards for Marvel Snap. I'll be reviewing only the ones that we are sure of their stats and their abilities. This might change when the closed beta starts, we don't know. But from the videos that they already put out, that's what we have today. I'll cover them alphabetically. I'll start with Angela. It's 2 energy, 1 power. When you play a card here, plus 2 power. So I think this is a good card for like zoo decks with lots of characters in play. This, if you have 4 characters in a location, you will get plus 6 power. So it will be a 2/7. That won't happen most of the times, I think. But even if it's just a 2/5, if you play these on turn 2 and then you play 2 other characters on that location, you get some value from it. The problem here is that your opponent will see it coming, so you will know that you will play more characters in that location and you reveal some information that way. But overall, I think it's a good card. Next we have Ant-Man. It's a 1 energy, 1 power card. The text says ongoing if you have 3 other cards here plus 3 power. Well, this is like similar to Angela. It has the same kind of strength of Angela. It can be a 1/4 if you have other 3 cards in that location. For that weapon, it's not so easily done. You really need to get the full location, and by doing that you give your opponent too much information unless you play it last. But if you are playing it last or in the last 2 turns of the game, you only get 4 power and you might be playing other bigger cards. So I think it's kind of strong, but maybe average, and I think Angela is better. Now next we have Arnim Zola. This is a 6 energy 0 power card with the text on reveal, destroy a random friendly card here, add copies of it to the other locations. So you pay 6 for, like, you will be using this on a big guy that you have from the last turn. Since this is a 6 energy card, you will be playing this on the last turn. So you have to have setup already in place so you can get value from it. It can be strong, like if you have a big 5 cost card, you can double its effect, but maybe it would be better to play a 6 card that has more power than a 5 energy card that you played last turn. So I'm not too sure about Arnim Zola. We'll have to see with the other cards, but for now it doesn't seem so good. Also, it's a random friendly card, so you don't choose the biggest one that you have, which makes it even worse. Now Blue Marvel, 6 cost, 4 power card. Ongoing, your other cards have plus 1 power. So this is not just your location, it will give power to all the 3 locations that you have. And this can be like if you have almost full locations, imagine you can have plus 8 power, and this will be a 6 cost 12 power card. Yeah, maybe it's not every game that you'll have a 6 cost 12 power. It's across all the locations that you get the power. But you might as well play Hulk if you need to just have a power on one location that you are losing. I'm not too sure about this one. It sounds bad from my analysis. I would prefer to play Hulk instead of this card. I'll show Hulk later, but it's just a 6 cost 11 power card. Now we have Brood, 3 cost, 2 power, on reveal, add 2 Broodlings to this location with the same power. Okay, so this card is interesting. It's a 3 cost 6 power card, so in terms of value, I think you'll get what you pay for. You get 2 power for each energy spent. The thing is, you'll overextend the location by playing this. If you play this on an empty location, you only have one spot left, and you might not want to play there, so you don't give your opponent information. This is good if you can buff it before playing it. There are cards that do that. So if you can have like +2 power, +1 power on it before you play it, then this card becomes really good. I think it's a good card. With the right synergies, it can really shine. Captain America, it's a 3-cost, 3 power card. Ongoing, your other cards at this location have +1 power. Yeah, I don't see this being played. So at the most, you get a 3-cost, 6 power card. But for that to happen, you have to have a full location. It might have some synergies with other cards that have +1 power, like the card that I just showed, the Brood card. So if you play Captain America and then you play Brood, it will be a 3 power card, and you'll have 12 power location with both of these. Even so, I don't think it's a really big combo. So for Captain America, I don't think it's a great card. But Captain Marvel, 5 cost, 6 power. After the final turn, move to a location that wins you the game, if possible. So this card is really interesting. I kind of want to see how they programmed it, how they know that you will win the card. You have to make multiple simulations, I believe. I don't know. So you play this on turn 5, and you have a win condition before your time. So this might be good to play Captain Marvel and then snap. So your opponent is afraid of you, and he just forfeits the match before going to turn 6. We'll have to see how this works. Maybe it doesn't have enough power to be good, because it only has, you are paying 5 for 6. It's not a good value card, but in the right conditions, it might be cool. Now we have Cloak. 2 cost, 4 power. On reveal, next turn, both players can move cards to this location. Okay, this is a card that requires synergies with other cards, like Dagger, for example. I'll show it later. In terms of value, I think it's good. You pay 2 for 4, and if you have synergy by moving cards around, I think you can make a cool deck around it. So I think this is a really cool card, but we are still missing some pieces to see if it's viable. Cosmo, 3 cost, 3 power. Ongoing, on a reveal, abilities won't happen at these locations. So this is a control card. You kind of need to have a deck built around him. You might have some negative abilities on your deck that they will be silenced by Cosmo by you playing them, and your opponent won't be able to counter you. I think it's a good card. It requires you to build around him, like build a Cosmo deck for it to be viable, but I think it might be good depending on what other negative reveal cards there are. And you got Dagger here. It really synergizes with Cloak. It's a 2 cost, 1 power. When this moves to a location, +2 power for each card your opponent has there. You play Dagger, you need to play it after you play Cloak. So turn 3, it's the earliest you can play it. In turn 3, your opponent might have like 1 or 2 characters in a location, so you might get +4 at most. So 2 cost, 5 power is good, but it requires setup. It's dependent on your opponent. Your opponent can move their cards as well because of Cloak, and they might see that you play Dagger. So I don't really see this happening at all. I think it's a really conditional card, but there might be more support for it in the future. Deadpool, 1 cost, 1 power. When this is destroyed, return it to your hand with double the power. This is a really nice card. That's flavor, right? You will die and come back again stronger. You can buff it with other cards that give you more power on the field or before you play it. It can become a +32 or more. I think you can build decks around him. The thing is, it might be easy to counter him, or not, because if your opponent destroys him, he gets to your hand again. I don't know how much silence there will be in the game. We'll have to see, but in concept, it's a really cool card. Death. 9 energy, 12 power, costs 1 less for each card destroyed this game. So you can kill Deadpool a million times, and this will cost nothing. Yeah, you have to build a deck around it with Deadpool and other cards that destroy other cards. Notice that each card destroyed this game, it's not just yours, your opponent as well. So if you have lots of control cards, you destroy your opponent's characters, and this will get cheaper. Maybe I don't see you playing this early. You might be able to play it on turn 5. 5 costs 12 power, it's really good. It's better than Hulk. So I think a death deck might be viable, and I think this is a good card with the right deck for it. Doctor Strange. 3 cost, 2 power. On reveal, move your highest power cards to this location. Yeah, I'm not seeing this one having any play. You'll put your eggs on the same basket. I'm sure there will be some kind of gimmick that allows you to play it. Don't see how, because if you play him, your other locations will get weaker, and your opponent just won't play the location that you have Doctor Strange. There might be some shenanigans with other cards and Doctor Strange, and some locations might be good for him, but I'm not seeing it. No, I'm not seeing it right now. Drax. 4 energy, 4 power. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, plus 4 power. So this is one of multiple cards that have the keyword if your opponent played a card here. You have to guess where your opponent will play. Yeah, these kinds of cards, I can't really value them. It can be a 4 cost 8 energy. That's good on stats, but it has a condition. If you don't get it right, it's just a 4/4. It's bad, really bad. I have trouble seeing this in any competitive play. Elektra. 1 cost, 1 power. On reveal, destroy a random enemy 1 cost card at this location. I think this card is awesome. One of the best, if not the best 1 cost card. Most of decks will play 1 cost cards. You can just remove power from your opponent. I think you can remove more power than the 1 power that you lose on this one. It's not a 1/2, it's a 1/1. So you lose 1 power to remove maybe 2 power from your opponent. You can also play it in a death deck. Destruction that you cause on your opponent will count for death to lower the energy. So a great card all around. Forge. 2 cost, 1 power. On reveal, give the next card you play plus 2 power. I really like this card, like for a deck that synergizes with it, like with Brood or other cards that will synergize with having higher power when they are played. 3 energy, at the end of the day, it's not the best, but if you play this, you'll have synergies, of course, and you will most of the time be able to pull it off. So I think it's a good card. Oh, and it works with Deadpool as well. Gamora. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, plus 4 power, 5 costs, 6 power. So this is the same as Drax. It's the same kind of card. Even worse, I think, because it costs more. At best, it's a 5 cost, 10 power. You have to read your opponent really well. I don't see this working. Ghost Rider. 3 cost, 3 power. On reveal, bring back 1 of your discarded cards to this location. So this introduces a new mechanic, discarded cards. From what I understand, you can't choose which cards to discard. I won't be talking about any cards that make this card because they are not confirmed yet, but I'm almost sure that the Gambit one will make you discard cards to destroy your opponent's cards. There will be more than 1 card for sure that discard. The problem is you don't choose them. Yeah, it's too early to tell, but there might be some combo pieces with Ghost Rider, some combo win situations that you can really make the most of. Hawkeye. 1 cost, 1 power. On a reveal, if you play a card here next turn, plus 2 power. Yeah, for a buff deck, Zoo deck that buffs each other, it's good. Works with multiple cards, Deadpool, Brood, everything else. So I think it's a good card. 1 cost, 3 power is great. It's in the first turn, so we'll give information to your opponent where you will play next, but it's still early in the game. You can spend 2 turns playing in the same location and you'll be fine. So for the aggro deck, I think this is a great card. Hobgoblin. On a reveal, your opponent gains control of this. Okay, so this is a 5 cost minus 8. So this is like a 5 cost 8 power card, right? Because it's like you have 8 more power than your opponent. I don't think that's great value, unless there are some kind of synergy with this doubling reveal effects. I don't see this being a good card at all. Hulkbuster, 3 cost, 4 power. On reveal, merge this card with a random friendly card at this location. So in terms of power, this is not great. You're paying too much for power, but if you can buff it, and if you have lots of creatures around, lots of characters around, like you have Brood, you have low cost cards, this might be good to get a location space. There are cards that buff your entire deck or your end. Hulkbuster might be good. I think this will see play on aggro or mid-range decks. Hulk, 6 cost, 11 power, Hulk Smash. That's it. This is the standard for the 6 cost card. Almost double the power that you get from the energy that you spend. I think it's good. From the cards that you have available, I think this is probably one of the best 6 cost cards. There's no conditions. You just slam 11 power in the board. You'll mostly for sure win a location. So if you're ahead, this is a win mark card. You end the game with this one. So Shang-Chi can't kill you. Yeah, great card. Simple, effective. Iceman, 1 cost, 2 power. On reveal, give a random card in your opponent's hand plus 1 cost, maximum 6. I think it's good, really good, because there's great value. 2 power for 1 cost, and you have minus 1 cost because you put 1 cost on your opponent. It doesn't work like that, but it can really disrupt your opponent's combos or their entire game plan. You play this early, so most likely they will have cards lower than 5 costs. Yeah, I think this is a great card, and enough said. I think you can play it on almost any deck. Iron Man, 5 cost, 0 power. Ongoing, your total power is double at this location. Yeah, you double the power. You might be able to win a location by playing him, but you're not really playing in any other way. You will lose other locations when you play this, maybe. Yeah, it might be good. I don't really know what to say. I'm not seeing it clearly. I think Ironheart, 3 costs, 0 power. On reveal, give 3 other cards plus 2 power. It's 6 power for 3. In terms of value, it's great. You have the condition that you need to have other 3 cards in play to get the maximum value from it. Otherwise, it's just a 3-4. It's not so good. So for this to be really impactful, you need to play a 1 cost card on the first turn, 2 1 cost cards on the second turn, and then this one. You might not be able to do that consistently, only on really aggro decks. This is a card for smash face enter deck. So yeah, it's good on that and nothing else. Juggernaut, 3 cost, 3 power. On reveal, if your opponent played cards here this turn, move them randomly. Yeah, this is another one that requires you to know what your opponent will play. I'm still not convinced that this mechanic is good. You might be able to predict what your opponent will play when you have a stable meta. In the beginning, people will play things all around the place. And the movement is random. You don't choose where the cards go. So it might be even worse than you started with. And the power... The value of the stats is not good at all. I don't like it. There might be some combos with him, like movement synergies, but for now, I think it's a bad card. Magneto, 6 cost, 12 power. On reveal, move all opposing 3 and 4 cost cards to this location. Your opponent might not have any 3 cost or 4 cards. And if it does, maybe it's higher than 12. But if you are losing 2 locations... Yeah, it's really situational. It's a win condition. The condition that you have to play him is not easy to get. It will work against some kinds of decks, not against all. And I don't think it's easy to play with. So I'm not convinced about this one, but I'm sure someone will prove me wrong. Medusa to cost 2 power. On reveal, if this is at the middle location, plus 2 power. Yeah, to cost 4 power. You have to play it on the middle. So the middle location will be a kind of a contested place because you also have Mr. Fantastic that we'll show next. But it's a solid 4 power on the middle. I would prefer if it was a 2-4, but I don't think we have a 2-4, at least that was revealed yet. So until then, it's a okay card. Mr. Fantastic, 3 cost, 2 power. Adjacent locations have plus 2 power. So it can be a 3-4 or a 3-6 spread around. You'll want to play this in the middle location. You won't be able to play this before the location is revealed, so you will know what will happen, what's the situation on the third turn. Yeah, I think it's a good card. Mr. Sinister, 2/2. On reveal, add a Sinister clone to this location with the same power. It's a 2/4. It's a 2/4, but you can buff it on hand. It will occupy 2 spots, but if you can buff it before you play it, awesome card. It will synergize with other buff cards. It's a great card. I think it will see play. Misty Knight, 1/2 and nothing else. Just a vanilla card. Nothing to say about this one. No one will play this. Multiple man on these moves add a copy to the old location. 2 cost, 3 power. Yeah, this will need to be part of a moving kind of deck. Nightcrawler and other moving cards. It might be good, but the condition, I think it's tricky to pull it off. If you can pull it off, it's a 2/6 or more if it moves more than one time. And if you can consistently do that, it's great. I don't see it yet. Mysterio, 2 cost, 5 energy. As you play this, play illusions to other locations. Disguise this an illusion until the game ends. The illusions are 0 power cards or summons, and your opponent won't have any way to tell them where Mysterio is. The crazy part about this card is that those summons can be buffed by other cards. You will have more vessels for your power buffs. Also, your opponents will be scratching their head trying to find out where Mysterio is, and just by that, this is one of the coolest cards that this game has to offer. Nakia, 3 cost, 1 power. On reveal, give all cards in your hand plus 2 power. If you play this on turn 3, and imagining that you played 2 cards already, one on each turn, on turn 1 and turn 2, you'll have 3 cards that get the buff, so it's plus 6 power, 3 cost 7 power. Awesome card. Even if you don't play one of the turns, you get value back. So if you don't play anything on turn 2, that card stays in your hand. Nakia will buff it when you play it. You have to play it on turn 3. Well, no, you can play it on other turns. You'll still get value. I think it's one of the better cards that I've seen. Great card all around. Namor, 4 cost, 5 power. Ongoing plus 5 power if this is your only card here. I think this card sucks. I think it's the worst one. It will only be good on Atlantis. That's a location that only allows for 1 card there. Unless you storm a location, you storm on the location, that will lock it out. Even so, yeah, I don't see how can this be good. If you play this on a location, you're invested on it, you'll lose it for sure because your opponent can have more than 10 easily, and you can't play anything else. It's trash. Nightcrawler, 1 cost, 2 power. You can move this once. Yeah, I'm not sure about movement based decks. If they are good, this card is must have on them, but I'm still not sure how they will work. Okoye, 2 cost, 1 power. On reveal, give every card in your deck plus 2 power. This is just your deck, not your hand, so you need to play this on turn 2. Otherwise, it's not worth it, I guess. Maybe turn 3. So you will play, most of the time you'll play 9 cards on a match. Play this on turn 2, you'll buff 4 cards, so it's 8 power. It's awesome. If you play this on turn 3, you have 3 cards, it's a 6, it's a 7 power 2 cost. If you play this on turn 4, it's a 5. Yeah, the thing is, you might not play all the cards that you draw. For this to work, you'll have to have aggro deck, really aggro deck, low cost cards. You need to play all the cards that you buff. Again, there are lots of cards that benefit from having power before being played. So this, I think, is a good card on those decks. aggro decks, I think this is good. If you play it later, it sucks. You need to get it early. And I'm not sure if you can do that consistently. Psylocke to cost 1 power. Next turn you get +1 energy. So it's like a 1/1, but you ramp up turn 3 and you can play a 4 cost card on turn 3. Or you can play win condition on turn 5 if you play this on turn 4. It can be good, right? In some situations. The thing is, it will be telegraphed by your opponent. You will know exactly what you're going to do. And information in this game is power, and I think this gives away too much. But I guess it will see play in some kind of deck. Quicksilver, 1 cost, 2 power, and it's just that, I think. Nothing to say, really. Red Skull, 5 cost, 14 power. I think this is the highest power card that we have. Not sure. Ongoing enemy cards at this location have +2 power. This is to play with 0. The 0 is a 1 cost, 3 power card. On reveal, remove the abilities on the next card you play. So you need to play 0, then you play Red Skull. Of course, on the last turn, so it's like a 6 cost, 14, 17. 6 cost, 17. You have to have 2 cards, so it's a 2-piece combo. Still not sure about that. It might work. It might see play without 0. So if you don't draw 0, you might be able to pull it off if you have a locked location. If your opponent has it's difficult to think about situations where this might be good without being silenced by 0. I don't think it's great because it requires you to have a 2-card combo. Rock Slide, 4 cost, 6 power. On reveal, shuffle 2 useless rocks into your opponent's decks. Useless rock is a 1 cost, 0 power card. It's almost useless. If your opponent has cards that buff them, they can be buffed and they can be played. But this will disrupt maybe most of them, of the decks that your opponents play. This is good for bluffing, I guess. Well, not for bluffing. This is good before you snap. So you play this and you snap. If your opponent doesn't have their win condition on hand, they will concede because the odds for them to draw their win condition will be quite low when you play this on turn 4 or 5. Play it, snap, and hope for the best. Rocket Raccoon, 1 cost, 2 power. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, +2 power. This is the same as the other ones with this kind of mechanic. I think this is better than the others because 1 cost, 2 power, it's good. And you can get +2 power, it's a 1 cost for you have to gamble. Most of the time it will be a 50-50 situation because you already know the first location. Kind of can predict if your opponent will play on the first location or on the left location or the middle and right. Middle and right, it's a toss, coin toss. Yeah, I think it's a good card overall. Rogue, 3 cost, 1 power. On a reveal, steal an ongoing ability from a random enemy card at this location. So from what I understand, steal is like silence on Hearthstone. So the ongoing ability text is removed from your opponent card. I'm not seeing lots of ongoing abilities that are really powerful. But if there are, this is like a tech card and it's really meta dependent. Scarlet Witch, my favorite card. 1 cost, 2 power. On reveal, replace this location with a random one. I think this is one of the best cards in the game. The variance of the locations are what will bring your win rate up or down. If you can control it in some way, if there's a location that goes against your deck, you can play Scarlet Witch and fix it, or hope to fix it. You can really destroy your opponent's plans with this. It's a 1 cost, you can play it in almost every turn. It has 2 power for 1 cost. Yeah, I love this card. I think it's great. It's my favorite, and I think it's one of the best. 4 cost, 3 power, Shang-Chi. On a reveal, destroy all enemy cards at this location that have 9 or more power. This is another one that's really meta dependent. This will counter big decks that have big characters. It's good if the meta allows it to be. It's really situational. There might be some times when new cards are released, and if those cards are released and they are big cards and people will want to play them, you'll encounter them, you use Shang-Chi and destroy them. The problem with this is that most of big cards I've seen are 6 cost. In the 6th turn, the game ends. It can be useful if the meta says so. but I really think the aggro and mid-range decks will be the prevalent ones. Sentinel, another great card. 2 cost, 3 power. On reveal, add another Sentinel to your hand. So this is like draw a card, kind of. I don't think this is not a copy. This is another Sentinel. It's a new card. So if you buff this one, you have a 2/5. You play this Sentinel that you get, I think it will be a 2/3, but you'll always have something to play. If you have low cost cards, 1 cost cards, you can play the new Sentinel alongside the 1 cost card next turn. This will allow you to curve better. Yeah, it's a good card. Schocker is just a 2 cost 3 power. It won't be played. Spider-Man 4 cost 2 power. On reveal, your opponent can play cards at this location next turn. This is a control card. I don't think it's really great. You really suffer on power to be able to do this, to lock a location. It only unlocks it for 1 turn. So if you play this on turn 4 or on turn 5, your opponent can't play there. But on turn 6 he can. So I think it sucks. Squirrel Girl, 1 cost, 1 power. On reveal, add 1 power squirrel to each other location. So it's a 1/3. You can play Squirrel Girl, and then if you play Mr. Fantastic on it, you buff the squirrels. You can have like a lot of horizontal power, kind of have the same power on every location. Your opponents might not know what locations to go for, but if you spread yourself too thin, you might also lose. So it's kind of difficult to tell, but from a value standpoint, I think it's a good card. Star-Lord. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, plus 3 power, 2 for 2. I don't like this one. The base stats are not good, and you get plus 3 power with the condition that your opponent played. Rocket Raccoon is better. I don't feel good about the Guardians of the Galaxy cards. There might be a good deck with them. I think only Rocket Raccoon is good. All the other ones are really trash. Storm, 3 costs, 2 power. On a reveal, flood this location. Next turn is the last turn. Cards can be played here. This is another one of my favorites. Alongside Scarlet Witch, cards that manipulate locations, I think are really powerful. You can do a lot with this. You can lock out a location for you. If you're winning, you flood it. Your opponent can play anything else there. If you don't like a location because its power it's going against you, you can flood it and remove that ability. I think it's a great card, and I'm sure I will play it. Sunspot, 1 cost, 1 power. At the end of each turn, gain plus 1 power for each unspent energy. So when I first saw this card, I thought this was the best card in the game. Every deck will play it. Now I don't think so. I don't think aggro deck will play this. You'll want to play curve, so you won't have unspent energy. Mid-range deck neither. It might be good for some kind of late game control deck. I think it's still good. I don't know how often you can't curve out perfectly, but if you have aggro deck, you can almost always curve out perfectly. You'll have to see about removal late game on the last turns. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I think it's not so good as I hoped it would be. Taskmaster, 5 costs, 0 power. On reveal, set this card's power equal to the power of the last card you played. I don't like this one. So the last card you played, it was a 4 cost card at best. So you'll pay 5 for stats of 4 for the power of a 4 cost one. It's only good if you really buffed it. The previous card, like a Deadpool, you play a big Deadpool, and then you play this. It's really convoluted. I don't think this one is good. The Infinite, 6 cost, 20 power. If you play the card last turn, you can't play this. Yeah, in terms of power, it's great, but you have to skip 1 turn. You have Sunspot that can benefit from it. If you have a Sunspot and play, you get 5 power on your 5th turn. But even so, well, in that case, it's 6 cost card for 25 power, or a 7 cost card across multiple turns with setup 26. I think it's not easy to pull it off. Skipping turn 5, I think it's really hard, but you might be able to win some mind games with this one. Everything is lost, your opponent thinks you can't play anything, and then you play the infinite and you win. Thing is, you only win one location. While you do that, your opponent might have won the other 2. So for this to work, you need to have a strong early game and then finish it off with this. I'm not seeing it, but let's see. The Punisher, 3 cost 2 power, ongoing +1 power for each opposing card at this location. It's not really good, it's like average. It's situational, it's better if you play against aggro decks. They have 3 cards, you get +3, it's a 3/5. Yeah, it's not good. If it was +2 power for each opposing card at this location, I think it would be good. This way, just 1 power, it's unplayable. The Thing, 6 for 4, it's clobbering time. Hulk is better. I think you play 2 cards that cost 2, you'll be better served than if you play this one, really. Typhoid Mary, 10 for 4 cost. Ongoing, your other cards have -1 power. So another card that you should play with 0. Small amount of big cards. This might be good, like if you have 3 cards in play. This is a 4/7, it's not so bad. The thing is, this is ongoing, so the next cards you play will have -1 power. Yeah, it's meh. Venom, 3 cost, 1 power. On reveal, destroy your other cards at this location, add their power to this card. In terms of value, this is not very good because you're not getting more power. This is only good if you have lots of cards in play and need space. Yeah, I don't think this is a good card. Yondo, 1 cost, 2 power. On a reveal, remove the top card of your opponent's deck. I don't see this being played. Yeah, you can remove it, but we still don't know how much draw there is. Even if there's a lot, I think it's difficult for you to make something with this one. You remove it, and what about it? Your opponent will only draw most of times 9 cards out of their deck. You might discard a combo piece, but that combo piece might never happen because your opponent doesn't draw it. Yeah, I think this sucks. And 0, I talked about this one already. It has synergy with some cards that you can silence. For this to work, it has to be a 0 deck. There might be some other cards with negative abilities, and this will allow those cards to be played. For now, it's everything. These are the cards that we know about. This is my take on them. I'm sure I'll be wrong on most of them because we only have this sample. Please comment below what you think about them, what you think about my takes. If you like my content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.